and welcome back to my channel where I bring you ordinary lives and extraordinary spirits. Do you own a startup or a business that you want to level up? As entrepreneurs, we feel that we can do it all. But most experienced entrepreneurs will tell you that the more you focus on your core competence and leave the specialist to do their job, the better it is for your business. And this is where specialists like Priyanka comes in. Hi Priyanka.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on your
Absolute
channel.
pleasure. Tell me a little about what you do.
So I'm actually a corporate strategist and I also expertise in valuations and corporate storytelling. Since 2015, I have been advising clients on their growth priorities. Anything from their fine-tuning their business model to planning their business to go-to-market strategy or for their investment strategies. So anything to do with finances or money, they call it.
So how many organizations have you worked with?
I
so
have
far?
worked with more than 100 organizations till
Wow.
date.
That's since 2015.
Yes, since 2015.
But how did you get to be in this line of work? Like, what were you doing? Like, were you always doing this? Or?
So I started back in 2007 after my MBA. I'm actually a statistician by background.
Okay.
And I began my journey, with a company called DLF. I'm sure you're familiar
Of
with
course,
DLF.
yes.
And I was a part of the corporate strategy team there. I was involved in fundraising and, helping the organization perform on their growth priorities. It was about a decade since I was working in this organization, and I wanted a change in my life. I wanted to transform. I wanted to do more.
The
for
entrepreneur
myself.
bug.
Oh yes, that totally bit me, and that was when everyone was becoming an entrepreneur. I think the main reason why people jumped into entrepreneurship was because they wanted to create make a change, make an impact. And I think everyone has that desire to have their own brand, and own identities for a reason to be known in the society,
Correct. Right.
in the world.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
So, how did you How did you get into this line of work? So you left your work. You were working for 10 years. You said you left that work and then you got into this, or
So for 10 years, I was working in the corporate strategy divisions of organizations. So there's not just one. I worked with around 4 organizations in this period of a decade. And post this, I actually started wanted to do something really disruptive. And I wanted to get into machine learning and data analytics, again to do with decision support for organizations, but very high on technology, but which was very, very disruptive beyond my scope of expertise. But that is what my heart's soul's desire was at that point in time. But quite frankly, today I do something else. I still continue to do what I have been doing for organizations. I have been advising organizations for their corporate strategy, for fundraising, for helping them form a story about their vision. Why are they doing what they're doing?
right? And especially the startups, right? They need
Yes.
a lot of hand holding as such.
Yes.
Because they're all techies mostly in India. I think in Hyderabad especially, you'll find a lot of techie companies whose core competence is highly technical, and they don't know how to pitch to an investor or pitch to a client. Am I right? And
Yes.
is this where you get?
Yes, absolutely. So what happens is that they know what they want to build. They know they have a great product. They focus a lot of their time in building a brilliant product. But what I have come across with startups is, even with the best of the ideas, a lot of startups really fail. And the reason why they fail is because they don't have the expertise to go to market. They don't know how to market their product. They don't know how to articulate their vision in a story. So that is where they actually fail. It's not about the product. The products are great.
Products are great, right? It's about them.
Execution,
Yeah.
about planning.
I've met quite a few startups, and I see that these young blood, but they lack in communication. They lack in presenting themselves, right? And I've
Yes.
always felt that I think most companies do need help, do need people like you
Yes,
too.
yes.
To help them.
Absolutely. In fact, products worth $1 million actually go in drains because the founders are not able to articulate a great story about their vision. So it is
And not
felt-
just to the client, but to the investor as well.
Absolutely.
That's the important thing.
Absolutely, and that's what the investor looks at. If you do not have a great story, they don't see that you have that spirit towards your own vision. They don't see that you have that clarity towards the vision. They feel that you are a technologist, you build a product, but you don't know what to do next.
Correct. So do you also help like seasoned organizations, or it's just startup?
So I help organizations as well. I help anything from early stage to matured companies. But I started with early stage companies because that was the main problem area. And one of the reasons why I started helping startups was because I started getting a lot of inquiries on how do we do this, how do we do that, how do we raise funds. And in my past experience with the corporates, I've raised funds for corporates. So they came to me asking, could you help us in working on our fundraising. So quite frankly, I have never been a storyteller. I was a very, very number person. Anything to do with decision was with numbers. Anything to do with fundraising was about numbers to investors, because I was working with larger organizations. But with startups, the story was different. They had to have a story. I learned from them that they don't have a story, which is why they are not able to pitch their ideas. Just not to investors, but also in the market. That's when I started studying a lot about how storytelling is done, and I started practicing. And
But are there still a lot of startups that are coming up now, or there was a phase where even our government supported the startups quite a bit, right? Has it phased out, or are there still a lot more startups coming up?
in my experience, a lot of startups are still coming.
So there is still a lot of that
Yes.
space.
In fact, I would say that the generation of startups which was earlier were the youngsters. Now you have a lot of mixed age group of people with a lot of experience entering
Life
the
in the
segment.
middle.
Oh yes, and a lot of women entering the space.
That's really nice to know.
Yes, that is very, very, very.
But what are the challenges then? What challenges do you face if this is the like? There's a lot of scope for your work, but what are the challenges you face?
So my practice is a consulting practice, which is very intangible.
Intangible service.
Yes, you can't. There is no possibility for you to realize immediate effect or immediate value out of what I
You
bring.
can't show the results immediately.
Absolutely. For example, if I'm helping you in your fundraising journey, it takes about 6 to 8 months for you to raise funds. I can't do anything better. I can only improve your chances of raising funds. If I were to make the business plan for your organization, it would still take 18 months for you to fructify that
Correct.
business plan. So it is very difficult to justify what value you bring. But assuming, with the challenges, the benefits that come is when you work with a client, a lot of work comes through word of mouth, a lot of work comes through references. Once a person has worked with you and they see the whiteboarding sessions, the brainstorming sessions, they realize,
They couldn't have done this by themselves.
Yes.
They needed the special.
Yes.
Yeah.
So only once they are actually able to experience the value, they are convinced about it. But when I go to pitch to them a service like this, it is very difficult to actually put a price tag to it.
Correct. So pricing is a problem.
It becomes extremely, extremely difficult.
Is
to
it also
price.
competitive? This
It is very competitive. You'll see every city have thousands
Many.
of small boutique consulting startups coming in. But it's about what value you bring to the table. So value is very important in this game.
So how do you pitch yourself actually? Is it through networking? Because you help others pitch, but how do you pitch yourself?
So fortunately or unfortunately, initially I had to do a lot of networking, a lot of pitches. I had to go to a lot of these networking events, talk to people, give them a brief about what I have been doing and what I want to do. And these are the kind of projects that I have done in the past. A lot of my work actually was free, and that was another mistake that I did, and I got to that. But that was the beginning of my journey. But now on today's date, I don't have to do any really for myself. I don't have to pitch myself.
So this thing about what you said that you giving it for free is very interesting, because it's very undervalued. No, when you give something free, nobody cares for it.
Yes, and I would say that a lot of people out there who are starting their own practice on consulting would actually try to give something for free, a lot of projects for free to build their portfolio, thinking that they'll have a jar full of portfolios, but that doesn't really work for you. You are the first person to value your work. If you don't value your work and you give it for free, then you set a benchmark for them. That's where you end things. That's where you're telling them that what I am advising you is valueless. So the price is very important for them, for you to benchmark a value to it.
But on the other hand, this area is also very price sensitive, right? Because you're talking of new startups, they can't afford to pay much.
Yes.
So that pricing is a big challenge.
It's a very big challenge, but there are ways to deal with it. When a startup really wants your value, you can take in a bite of what you call sweat equity,
Equity,
a little bit of equity if they don't pay you, but you price it. you don't give it for free.
So,
The
okay, that's
moment you
the-
give it for free, I've had an instance of, advising, a client back in 2016. So I made the entire valuation framework for this person, and after 2 months, I find out that this person went to another expert to get the valuation done, and she paid 2 lakhs for the same valuation
Same
that I
that you
gave
did.
for 2 lakhs. So it was I felt that's the jerk that I needed, and post that I never did anything for free, and I realized that that's when people actually value your work.
Yeah, that's true. You seem to be enjoying what you do a lot.
Oh,
I see so much.
love-
You love what you're doing.
I love what I do. I am a numbers person, and this is all about numbers. Decision support is all about numbers. I'm a solutioning person, so I always want to find solutions to problems.
Yeah. Your work is to find solution to problems.
Yes. In fact, if I had a chance, I would have automated, problem solving for organizations. Because ultimately, what I
you
want
do that,
to do,
and you. What about your role? You can't do that.
I can always go a step ahead. But I really like the organization that I'm working with to succeed, because that's when I succeed.
Correct. Absolutely. Their success story is your success story.
Absolutely, that's what I always say. So this is my pitch.
Oh, very nice, very nice, and of course, yes, with the little interaction that I had with a few startups, their dedication, it's amazing, isn't it? The number of hours they spend on their R&D. I hope all of them become successful. Really.
Absolutely, but where they lag is, like you said, some things need to be left to experts. And I'm not saying this because I am a consultant myself, but this is the reason why I came into this field, is because I've realized that not everyone's good at everything. I'm not good at technology. I can't do coding. But what I am good is something that I can bring value to you. I am not a person who can code and build a machine learning product. And that's why my first idea really failed, because I couldn't execute it.
But is that on your future goal? Because
yes,
you talked about it so much.
That's always, like I said, that's my soul's urge to actually get into that. So I'm continuously upskilling myself. I'm studying. In fact, I'm doing Python at the age of 40, almost nearing 40. I'm actually not ashamed,
Don't
because
talk
I
about
feel,
the age.
coming from my experience, I feel like it's a plus to me to have achieved that these many years in the industry. So I'm very, very happy to let people know I don't want to be the sweet 18 or the sweet 16. I want to be the experienced 40 as soon as I can reach.
Oh my God! People in the 40s don't want to remind themselves they are in the 40s.
40 is the new 20,
They want to-
with being more wiser.
I want to. So, what else? What else is your future plan? What do you have any other goals? Do you want to? I don't know what.
So I do plan. I have goals. So I have been working on an offline mode with organizations to build up their strategy. But ultimately, strategy projects are very one-time projects. You want to raise funds, or you want to make a business plan, or you want to launch a product, or you want to go into a market with a new product. So these are one-time projects, but on an ongoing basis, organizations have a lot of pitfalls in their operations. They don't have enough. Either they don't build frameworks for data to make swift decision making at micro level and at macro level. So I feel that there are a lot of loopholes in a growing organization, or not every organization on today's date has the capability or the infrastructure to build machine learning and AI systems in their frameworks. So I want to automate data analytics for them, so that it becomes smoother, the operations become smoother, and their revenue recognition process is much better, so they're able to grow. So building that framework will also help them not come to external third parties like us every time for small issues and pay us. They should ideally come to us when they really have a major issue.
So in this line of work, do you feel that, have you faced any challenges as a woman? Is there any, gender partiality? Do people take men seriously and women less serious? Any such thing?
I would say it totally depends on you, how you perceive the situation. It's all in your head. But quite frankly, that does happen. There are going to be situations for everyone. I know that I am not the only one. There have been a lot of women who face situations where they've been demotivated for being a woman, for having a family, for not being able to be committed to a project because they have a family to look after at home, they have a child to take care of. So these are things which will always come. But as a woman, they should, I think, every woman needs to believe that she has more power than a man. She's better at multitasking after all.
I don't know. Absolutely. So, what's your advice as an entrepreneur, as a consultant, and as a woman?
Believe in yourself. I think, that's the most important thing. Believe in yourself, whatever you do. There will be ups and downs. Like my story started with something else. I wanted to do something else, and I ended up doing, again, what I used to do in the corporates, and I realized that's where my strength lies. I learned from my experiences. I became a storyteller. I started an organization which actually does storytelling for organizations. So, I would say that, believe in yourself and don't get upset with, small failures. Even if you think that your initial plan didn't work, keep working on it.
Something will lead to something.
Yes,
something
yes.
will
And the devil will keep sitting on your head. They'll keep prompting you ideas. The more people you meet, the more organizations that you try and understand, you'll realize there's so many issues, there's so many problems with people, with organizations that are unmet. There's so much to solve still.
Very nice. It's so nice to talk to you, Priyanka. I hope our viewers enjoyed this as much and have learned so much from you. So I wish you all the best in all your endeavors and best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on your channel.